All right, today we're going to go over a barbell walking lunge. Obviously, I don't have a barbell on me, but again, what we're going to do is demonstrate the principles, right? The points of performance, right? This can be a walking lunge where it's step after step after step, or it can be the same as a stationary forward lunge. The same thing can be a stationary rear lunge as well, okay? The reason why we're going to go over the walking lunge really is this, a couple reasons. One is a personal reason, and one is then a physiological reason. The personal reason is that, long story short, I've never been a big fan of running, like long distance everyday running. What I found out in preparation for all the deployments I did, I still had to run, but for me to acquire good leg strength, good leg endurance, what I found was doing weighted barbell walking lunges. I never had to worry about running. I never had to worry about my conditioning. It's such a fantastic exercise. Obviously, from a physiological standpoint, it is one of the more challenging exercises to do with consistency because you're moving a mass, right, an additional mass on your spine, okay? So that being said, what we're going to do is hit those points of performance. What I really want you to keep in mind is that when you go into a split position, okay, we want to notice that the direction of my travel is determined by where my big toe is pointed, basically, right? So if I'm stepping, right, and I shift my weight and I end up stepping into my midline, I don't want to do that, okay? I don't want to turn my foot in because now my knee wants to go that way and toe, right? So what I really am thinking is I'm going to start feet under my hip joints, okay? I'm not going to start out here because I start out too wide. I have to shift to then step, okay? So I want to start in my position where I'm stable, right? I begin my lean and I step, okay? My direction of travel. Toes, knees, hips are all in a straight line towards my desired direction of travel. Same with my back. I don't have my back foot turned this way or this way, right? Because again, we're duplicating or mimicking a run, okay? The running gait with an additional mass, okay? So one of the big common mistakes is that because we get the weight on our back, we shift to a side to step, okay? We don't want to shift to step. Instead, push your toes down. It creates a forward lean, creates tension, okay? So we want to create our own tension by leaning forward as we contract our lats. Now I'm in line, okay? I'm not shifting my weight. The other thing what we do is that change of direction, okay? That's at the bottom. What we want to do is maintain tension, and this is why, okay? Because if I'm stepping forward and I take my knee all the way down and I let my knee bear the weight, I've loosened tension, my hips will slide, and then I'm forced to bend my torso forward and drive this way. Knees and hamstrings go back, okay? Instead, I want to keep my torso vertical, right? So when like I said, I forward lean, grab with my toes, that puts me forward. Now I basically controlled fall with a vertical torso. You see the line of my femur? It runs right up my rib cage, okay? What I don't want to do is break this angle to that, right? I want to maintain this vertical, okay? In both directions, you'll see from this knee to about my armpit, that position stays pretty straight, okay? In both ways. Like I don't want to do this, right? Bend forward and kind of like genuflecting in church. I don't want to do that, okay? So load the bar, okay? We talked the lower body, the upper body then is this. Same thing, because I'm forward moving, what I really don't want to be is here. Right? I don't want that bar rotate. I don't want to be internally rotated. I don't want my elbows pointing out back because my head will be forward and I'm going to really have a hard time stopping my momentum, right? Oh, this is going to happen, okay? So we really want to drive those elbows forward by contracting those lats, okay? And then when I go into a lunge, I'm thinking pull down because I'm thinking when I take this step, and I lunge forward, right? Basically, I'm pulling down, right? Okay, I'm pulling down the direction of travel, okay? So that's also a very good cue to keep this. We don't want the rib cage here, okay? Pelvis sits directly under that rib cage, okay? And we're keeping that tension, okay, as I lunge, bam. Okay, keep that tension, flexed here, bam, okay? So with the demonstration you just saw, a couple of takeaways really are, in the video, I've slowed my movement down to show this sort of segmented, concise lunge where I took a step, bent, knelt down, come back up, feet together, right? That's kind of where I want you to start, right? And then it becomes, on the way back, you saw I kind of went into a lunge, finished the foot, brought it up, and then went into it. And then eventually, right, ends up being a lunge, leg through, and it becomes a continuous, concise sort of movement, okay? And just again, in the video, I'm just trying to break it down to see that I'm paying very close attention to where my feet are, okay? And then when I take off and lunge and come back, that they come right back to where they were. I'm showing that I'm engaged here, so when I lunge, right, I'm not getting wobbly up top, okay? Keep tension. You notice even I was only using 95 pounds, right? There were 25s, the greens were. That's about as heavy as I go. I'll sometimes go to 135, okay? Because it's really about acquiring volume. But another thing too, which is actually a good idea, is what I would suggest doing, just really kind of a comfort, peace of mind, and also a little bit of safety thing, is if you have a pair of knee sleeves, whatever brand they are, doesn't really matter, or like an old set of volleyball knee pads or something, because it's like when you get tired and you're out lunging in your driveway or in the street or wherever it may be, right, when we get tired, changing direction becomes a little bit hard. So the last thing we want to do is lose balance and bam, drive that knee into the concrete, okay? Because again, we're trying to really control. So maybe you start off, if you're a beginner, like for even me, I'll wear knee sleeves when I'm doing this exercise. So just keep that in mind, guys. Be slow and methodical, because this exercise really is about creating a movement pattern that in and of itself is very similar to a pretty good run, okay? And instead of running, we've exchanged the acceleration for an additional mass.